As Hans Olsen has moved on to the corporate world, we're looking for the next great Utah sports radio talent.
There's something for everyone.
While we do that, you get stuck with this guy.
Hey, everybody, here's our star.
This is Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Yeah, well, guess what? We're a few days into this, Lloyd, and we've already exhausted all of our friends. We're done now.
One of those days, man. Having a day, Scotty, having a day.
Having a day. Welcome into the program. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Out and about today, Tim Daly, Nissan. Come on by, hang out. The Southtown location, Tyler and the crew ready to hook you up. I bought a bunch of Nissans from these guys. Tyler's a good dude, and they will take care of you. We'll talk to Tyler throughout the show. We've got a lot to break down. Jay Stevens is going to talk and preview the USA in their showdown against Sweden. And also, how about Canada? Nearly lost. Had to get into overtime to beat mighty Chechnya, but found a way to get it done. And so Canada moves on from the quarterfinals when it looked like for a moment they were going to lay an egg. And I was all Team Canada because I want to see a Canada-United States gold medal game. I just want to see those two battle it out. I don't care about Chechnya. I don't care about Sweden. I don't care about anything else. I want to see that matchup. So, yes, I was cheering for Team Canada. I know there's a lot of people that get a little sideways with Canada every now and then, but, Lloyd, I was all about Canada. Find a way to win that game because I do not want to be cheated out of a gold medal game between those two teams.
No, I'm so with you. I heard people like, man, come on, Chechnya. I'm like, no, let's get the best. The U.S. and Canada. That's beat the best. Get the gold because if you beat Chechnya, it's not going to matter.
No.
Like it doesn't mean the same. It's gonna be like it's like lucking your way into a gold.
How many people watched that dopey Disney movie about Herb Brooks and the 1980 Olympic team, and didn't know that the Soviet Union was actually the semifinal game? Like people think that was for the gold medal. Actually, no. They had to play another game after that to win the gold medal. And nobody know. Was it Sweden? I don't even remember who it was against. Like nobody knows about that. Like it's about beating the big gun at their sport. And so, yeah, like come on, Canada, let's go.
And had there been an upset against Canada today, that would have been the story.
Yes,
that was going to be the story.
Like, oh well, Team USA is going to cruise to an easy gold victory because somebody knocked out Canada before the United States could get a hold of them. So, yeah, there would be an asterisk next to it, much like the Barry Bonds home run record. Everybody would be like, is it real? Is it real?
I know you're mad at me today. I'm not mad at you. I'm out to get you today, but I'm not. And so you don't need to take just random shots at Barry Bonds. That wasn't even called for.
What's Barry up to these days? Is he still coaching? Like, I haven't even.
You know what? I think he's doing as a hitting coach. I'm not sure if it's still with the Giants. I think it's still with the Giants. He was a hitting coach, but, yeah, I'm not sure exactly right now what he's up to. He's being robbed out of being in the Hall of Fame. I do know that.
I'm surprised he hasn't shown up on those, like, Doug Flutie Big Hurt commercials, like pushing testosterone or whatever the stuff those guys are hammering home these days.
Yeah, that would be a good place for him, I guess.
I mean, come on. No, hey, look, if you want to get ripped out of your mind, is there anybody better to tell you how to get it done than Barry Bonds? That makes sense. All right, we'll talk a little hockey with Jay Stevens coming up at 12:30. At 1:05, David James will join us. We got a lot to talk to DJ about because, frankly, from the Olympics to the BYU game coming up tonight to Utah State and Boise State coming up tonight to the Jazz kicking off the rest of the season to the tank gate going on. DJ's got opinions on everything. So we'll talk to him coming up at 1:05. I believe our good friend Trevor Riley, who is on an island in Hawaii right now, will join us at 1:30. I just texted him. I'm like, hey, hop on the show with me, 1:30. We'll talk some Utah football, Morgan and the new staff. And he said, no problem. I'm in Hawaii, so I guess I will call. So I'm taking that as a commitment, Lloyd.
I'm assuming he's got cell service because I got another scripture. So
yeah,
I'm assuming he has cell service there because I am getting those still on the regular.
And yes, the scripture did come in today at 11:57. If people don't know who Trevor Riley is, Ute legend, really good dude. a little quirky, and he has gotten behind making Lloyd it's his ultimate goal is to get Lloyd baptized. Like that's his mission in life is to find a way to convert Lloyd to the predominant faith. And so because of that, every day he sends out little scripture verses, a little screenshot of a scripture that he's reading. Now, I don't really appreciate this, but Lloyd somehow got me involved in this. So now every day, and I'm showing Brant, these little scriptures come in from Trevor Riley. And it's like,
Truth is,
I appreciate it, Trevor.
don't
Thank
know
you.
how in good standing you really are. I'll be honest. So
what's that supposed to mean?
I just don't know. I just don't know if you're living life right.
Oh, so Trevor sensed that,
mic.
and so he's trying to help me as well? Okay. All right.
I don't know if you're living life right on
fair.
and off the mic.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, so we got a busy show. We'll continue efforting other individuals out there because, as Lloyd told me earlier today, he's been told no more often than when he was in college. But I don't think you weren't denied a lot in college. I think you did just fine. So we got to translate that success rate over to the show.
I know. I'm trying. I don't strike out very often. I will say that, but today has been a day.
All right. Well, let's get to it. Time for your starting lineup.
We have.
Yeah, you getting hit like I'm here in South Jordan, and it's looking pretty good out here.
Yes, it is.
Are you still getting hammered?
Yeah, it is like a blizzard out here in Salt Lake, downtown.
I'm looking forward to driving to Logan. That'll be fun.
I wonder if our guy, because I saw that our guy John Canzano was going to make the trip to Logan. I feel like he's canceling his trip because he doesn't want to drive. He's not going to be driving in these weather conditions. Is he still making the trip?
I don't know. We were going to try to get him on today, but apparently he is boycotting the show.
He's dodging
for whatever
me
reason.
Right now.
So, yeah. I wanted to talk to John. There's a lot to talk to him about, but no. So far, we've struck out on him. He made the announcement earlier in the week on the old Twitter machine that he was coming to Logan, and but he's gone radio silent since. So maybe the snow did chase him off. All right, starting lineup: 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Scott Gerard, Lloyd Cole back in studio. We're at Tim Daly Nissan, Southtown. Come on by, hang out. But let's talk a little college hoops. BYU gets an opportunity to right the ship. And you're thinking, okay, well, they've won 2 in a row. Yeah, but the Baylor game was nice. You'll take that Baylor win. The one, though, that makes people a little concerned is that you had to go into overtime to beat Colorado at home in the Marriott Center. Now, Colorado, one of the worst-ranked teams in the Big 12 when it comes to your computer rankings, and Colorado had lots of opportunities to win that game. BYU got it to overtime and ended up getting the 90-86 victory. Now BYU welcomes in, I mean, you talk about this stretch of the schedule. They've got Arizona coming up on Wednesday, and then Arizona tonight in Tucson, and then they come back home to take on Iowa State. Then the schedule kind of loosens up a little bit. For the final, 3 games of the season. Central Florida, West Virginia, Cincinnati, those should all be wins for BYU. And then you wrap up the season against Texas Tech with Toppin injured. Interesting to see where Texas Tech is right now. But make no mistake, this BYU team, I'm not saying they need to beat Arizona tonight. You can't get ran out of the building tonight. This is a team there's little points of a season where you look at a squad and you say, are you willing to put your foot and draw a line in the sand and say, we're going to turn things around. And that doesn't necessarily mean a win. Look, I would love nothing more to see BYU go to Tucson and end up getting the W tonight. I would love to see BYU turn around, come back, and head back to Provo and beat Iowa State. Frankly, if you go if you split those games, you go 1-1 in that stretch, that's a W in my mind. But I was talking to a coach once who said, when they were in a losing streak, we just got to remove the black cloud from atop the building. And somehow with the losses, the 4 consecutive losses to Arizona, Kansas, Oklahoma State, and Houston, the close win against Colorado, the injury to Richie Saunders, there's this black cloud hanging above the BYU basketball program. And frankly, a lot of it, too, is due to the fact of the high expectations set upon BYU. Look, you pay for that roster. You get in All-Americans. You get guys that are expected to be, number 1 or number 2 or number 3 overall draft picks, and you expect Elite Eights, you expect Final Fours, you expect deep runs into the NCAA tournament, you expect a high finish in the Big 12 regular season and in the Big 12 tournament. So when you lose 4 in a row and you lose 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 6, and you lose one of your big 3 to an ACL injury, which I'm just gutted for that kid. Such a great representative for BYU, a guy that had been a big part of what Kevin Young has built over the last year and a half at BYU. That's a guy who had every opportunity to take off and go somewhere else, but decided, no, I want to stay put. I want to be part of this program. I want to be continuing the process here at BYU. And frankly, the sky's the limit on what he can do and what his potential is down the line. Unfortunately, this season is done for him. I mean, it's over, and probably his BYU career is over. So BYU's got to find a way to circle the wagons and say, how can we get back to that kind of swagger that you had when you were wrecking teams earlier in the season? And how do you find that? How do you channel that again? Well, if you're BYU, and I love the fact that Tim Lacombe mentioned this when he was on the program with us last week. And this was before the Richie Saunders interview. This was in the middle of the 4-game losing skid. The one thing that really jumps out at you when you watch BYU, offensively, they're fine. Now, would you like them to be a little bit more diversified in what they do offensively? Sure. But you got Rob Wright, A.J. DeMonsa. You got guys that can absolutely take over a game. So let them do their thing. You're averaging a high point total at about 85, 86 points per game in Big 12 play. So offense isn't your issue. But if you go back and you look at the wins, even the wins for BYU, you beat Colorado in overtime. You give up 86 points. You beat Baylor by 5 and give up 94 points in that game. The Oklahoma State loss, you give up 99. You lose to Kansas, you give up 90. You lose to Arizona, you give up 86. So you go down the list, even Texas Tech, when you lose that game, you give up 84. Houston, who doesn't really score at all against anybody, they just grind you into submission with their defense. Even Houston pushed 80 and scored 77 points in that game, in that slow, methodical style of theirs. So when you take a deep breath and you look at where BYU is offense, you're fine. In fact, you look at the numerical ranking, BYU, the 8th ranked offensive team in all of college basketball. Where they struggle a bit, and even the number isn't bad. They're ranked 50th in the country in defensive rating, which takes into account points per possession, because honestly, when you play BYU in that high up-tempo style of basketball that they want to play, you're going to get extra possessions, which is going to boost your point total. So you want to be a little bit careful when you do look at points, but also you look at points per possession. They're still a little on the high side. And that's something that BYU's got to be more connected at. And the thing that Tim Lacombe said, and I go back to, is BYU needs to be more connected. And this is the struggle sometimes when you bring teams together and again, everybody's dealing with it. I'm not singling out BYU. It's just when you turn over a high level of your roster and you bring in players that are extremely talented, but then you bring them together and say, all right, have chemistry. 1, 2, 3, go. It just doesn't always hit, and sometimes it takes some time. And you're thinking, okay, well, there's 6 games left on the season. How much time do you need? It may take even longer. Like, honestly, we're used to, my generation, Lloyd's generation, even the generation up until about 5 years ago, you were used to seeing a team recruit freshmen, have them sit, maybe redshirt them, and then slowly as a sophomore they get a little bit better. Then a junior year they may get into the starting lineup and they start producing. And then as a senior, then they end up being an all-conference guy and really taking over control of a team. You don't have that gradual progression anymore in dealing with a coach, knowing his system, knowing the ins and outs, and having a long learning curve. Right now, if you're A.J. DeBonsa, you're saying, okay, you know what? You are a freakishly talented player. You're going to be a top 2, top 3 pick in the NBA draft at worst, maybe number 1 overall. And so we have high expectations for you. You're going to come in, you're going to get the keys to the team, and you're going to go immediately. Ready, go. And this kid's a biscuit toss out of high school. Is it fair? Probably not. Does he deserve that? Yes, because, frankly, he's got that talent level where he should be able to absorb that, and he has. But then you're also asking that high level of a talent that you're giving him so much responsibility to also work with other members of a team. And sometimes you lose that level of connectivity. And I'm not saying that's necessarily the case with BYU. I'm just saying I've seen it. Look, I was part of I do the games for Utah State. I was part of that Danny Sprinkle team in covering them game in and game out where they didn't return a single point off the previous team, not a single bucket scored, and not a scholarship player was on that team from the previous year. And they came together and found a way to make it click. Now, that had more to do with the players and their personality and a lot of great leadership on that team that made that click. But sometimes you don't have that luxury. Sometimes it just takes a little bit longer for things to fall into place. And so in this era of basketball, you're going to bring together these super teams. BYU's as talented as anybody in the country from top to bottom, even without Richie Saunders on that roster. I firmly believe that. BYU is freakishly talented. They've got decent depth, not the depth that they would have liked, but they've got good depth, and they are still a very capable team of making a deep run into the NCAA tournament. Now, Richie Saunders, does that keep you from going from the, making it past Sweet 16 to the Elite 8? Maybe. He might be that difference that keeps you out of the Elite 8. But certainly this is a roster is currently constituted that's more than capable of being a Sweet 16 team. They just got to get connected. And they'll be fine. Like I've said this all along about BYU. They will be fine. Get them into the Big 12 tournament. Let them continue to play Kevin Young-style basketball. And then when you get into the NCAA tournament, if you're not a 6-7 seed, I think BYU, if you can hover in that 4 or 5 range, that gives you a first-round win. That gives you a toss-up in your next round to get to the Sweet 16. And then after that, it's just the cherry on top. And BYU's at a certain situation right now where they continue to show what they've got going to other recruits. You're seeing day in and day out. Here's another 5-star recruit on campus. Here's another 4-star recruit. And when you show that, number one, you're willing to spend the money, but two, you've got one of the best game day atmospheres in all of college basketball in that Marriott Center. And number three, you've also got a ability to showcase your team at a high level, and you've got already high-level recruits saying, I want to go there. That's going to bring the cavalry with other recruits. You just have to continue to produce wins. And if BYU can right the ship here, and again, they don't have to beat Arizona tonight, but you do need to have somewhat of a level of a moral victory in this game. You can't lose this game by 20. Then you really start to second-guess yourself and start to think, okay, is it broken? Which it's not. But even if you lose this game and it's a 2-possession game, BYU loses this game 84-78, 84-77, then you can take a lot away from that and say, okay, you know what? We were outmanned by this Arizona team. We were on the road. We had opportunities in the second half. Let's go home. Let's take on Iowa State, and let's get after it. And then if you beat Iowa State, you're golden because you'll reel off the next 3 wins up until that last game of the year when you take on Texas Tech. And if you're able to, get some confidence against Central Florida, West Virginia, Cincinnati, you'll be fine. You'll be a 5 seed at worst in the NCAA tournament, especially if you win a couple games in the Big 12 tournament. And I think Kevin Young can look back on this year as being a success. Now, we set the bar really high, a lot of us, and BYU themselves set the bar high by saying this is a team that could be an Elite 8 Final Four team. And with Richie Saunders healthy, they probably are that, or certainly are capable of doing that. Now, you lose one of your big 3, it's a little bit tough to see that come together. But also, you've got freakish talent remaining on that squad. You just got to find a way to get it dialed in. And Kevin Young will. BYU will. A.J. DeMonts is a good player. He's a good leader. He's been asked a lot of him as a true freshman, and by all accounts, he's risen to what's been asked. It's tough to say, hey, guess what? You're 18, 19 years old. This is your team. You're the face of this team. Take it over. That's a really hard ask for a kid that's that young to be able to take over and play at that high of a level. And so sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I have no worries whatsoever about how BYU can finish this year. I think they're going to be all right. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This is Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. I have not talked to our next guest about the Canada game, so I don't know where you're at on this. Jay Stevens, host of the Utah Puck Report and overall good dude, kind enough to join us, has been so kind in helping teach all of us about the game of hockey. Jay, how you doing, man?
I'm doing spectacular. So much good hockey today.
I know. So this is what I want to throw at you. There's a lot of people out there that were cheering for Chechnya because they wanted Canada out to make Team USA's route a little easier. I, on the other hand, I want nothing more than to see that USA-Canada matchup, all the marbles, let's go. So I was all about Canada winning that game. Where were you at watching the near upset?
I'm kind of split. I kind of turned on Czechia when they didn't play veggie at all.
Yeah.
But I did kind of like the clearer path idea, but I am excited to see, and I don't want to jinx anything. Hopefully, U.S. can win their game today, and then their semifinal game, and Canada wins their semifinal game, and we get this ultimate matchup. And I mean, that's what everybody wants. I think you want to see the two big giants going at it, and I don't know. It was so close. It was so much fun to watch that game. I was on the edge of my seat just hoping for it. And we've got another game going into overtime right now. It's just exciting hockey.
Who was outside of USA and Canada, who's been your biggest surprises in this tournament?
The biggest surprise really was Sweden for me. Sweden historically has been such a phenomenal team and has done so well in the Olympics. And to see them start right off with a loss to their bitter rivals in Finland. And nobody expected Finland to beat Sweden, especially with as stacked as Sweden looks on paper. So that was a big surprise to me. But really, that's it. Everything else is kind of laid out. I thought Germany might be a little better than they turned out to be. I was hoping to see Peterka kind of light up the scoreboard, but I just don't think he had the support that he needed. But, it's been a lot of fun. I think most of the games have been great. It's too bad we haven't really seen the U.S. be tested, because they're definitely going to be tested today.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, too. Is it just the fact that how they built this team, they've just put teams on defensive lockdown? What do you, outside of just the talent discrepancy, what do you credit this dominating play to?
Just the in-your-face North American style of hockey. And, Europe has caught up. Europe is being a lot more physical than they used to be. And it used to be the thing that U.S. and Canada would come in and just bully their way through games. And they might lose the games, but they were definitely going to give you, a physical beating. And then Europe kind of started getting a little more physical and upping their play that way. But I still think that's how the U.S. was built for this tournament, was to be physical. That's why they said they left off two prolific scorers in Jason Robertson and Cole Caulfield that everybody thought should be on this team. But, they went out with a plan. They said they were going to build a physical, in-your-face team, and that's what they did. They do have, you're seeing the top six produce, and that's what they wanted. The thing is the slow starts. That's what scares me about the U.S. is the first period. It reminds me a lot of the second periods for the Utah Mammoth, where it's just like nothing's clicking. You're not seeing the chemistry. I think we started to see a little more chemistry in that last game, especially with the third line. Clayton Keller, Tage Thompson, they have chemistry from before. Clayton Keller obviously would have chemistry with the Kachuk brothers because he grew up playing with them. But you're starting to see now how good the U.S. could be, and hopefully all that chemistry is there today.
How cool was it to see Clayton Keller finally get on the ice?
Yeah, it was really good. Super frustrating to see him not play. As Utah fans, we all know how good he is and his vision. You just don't have a guy with that much vision and that passing ability. He is one of the best passers in the NHL. And you think, you want to see him feeding guys like Austin Matthews and Jake Gunsel and Tage Thompson, obviously. But just to see him on the sidelines was just frustrating. But then you look at the roster and you're like, well, it makes sense. This is a deep roster. This is the best U.S. team that's ever been built for the Olympics or for anything. I mean, so it just speaks volumes of that to see Keller get scratched.
Jay Stevens joining us, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone, host of the Utah Puck Report, and just does a great job helping us about this game. You talk about the passing ability of Clayton Keller. Is that something you're kind of born with, or can people develop into becoming an elite passer?
It's a little of both. I mean, you have to have a certain kind of peripheral vision that maybe not everybody has, and that's the thing that separates really good players from NHL players is just that X factor. I've seen a lot of people work a lot and get better and better and better at being a passer, but what you've got in Clayton Keller is a guy that, one, has the vision, and two, has this just incredible drive. You talk to him and you just realize that his whole life, his whole focus in life is to be better at hockey, and he puts everything in his life towards that. So he had it naturally, and then he honed it as just a guy that works his butt off every day to get better at his craft.
So you got Peterka's on his way home to Utah. Veggie's on his way. I know they got on the ice a little bit yesterday. We talked to Bill Armstrong. Did they get thrown to the fire immediately, or is there a little bit of a decompression time for these guys, or is it just like, hey, let's get back at it?
I think it's going to be left up to the player. I think a lot of times it seems like Bill and obviously Coach Bear let these guys kind of figure out where they're at workload-wise. I think Veggie's going to want to jump right back in the pipes and start taking shots, and I think he's going to be frustrated and feels like he's got something to prove. So I expect to see him get back on the ice. I wouldn't be surprised to see JJ take maybe an extra day after he gets home before he skates again. But that being said, I've watched Peterka stay on the ice 40 minutes after everybody else to work on one shot for 40 extra minutes because he knew he needed that shot on the power play. So he's another just super driven guy. So I think the coaching staff leaves it up to the guys, and I think Peterka takes one more day.
All right, so let's I know that these two teams still have, USA has their quarterfinal, and then their two teams will have their semifinal. But let's just look ahead. Let's peek ahead, Jay, and pretend that these two teams are playing for a gold medal. With what you've seen in the previous games in the Olympics, how do you think that one plays out?
It's such a scary game for U.S. Canada is so deep. Even losing Sidney Crosby today, I don't think, one of the greatest players in the history of the world or the history of hockey, and Canada just seems to be able to replace him. That's how deep Canada is right now. So I think this would be another just barnyard brawl of a hockey game where it comes down to the final couple minutes of the game. That's how I see it. I see these teams just a real physical matchup. Then you start looking at goaltending, and you've got two goaltenders that are proven goaltenders, but then that have also got some knocks against them. Like, Hellebuck has been a phenomenal goaltender, but he just hasn't been able to win the Stanley Cup, and he hasn't been able to do great in the playoffs. I blame the team more than I blame Hellebuck, but most of the critics put a lot of that on Hellebuck. And then in Jordan Bennington, you've got a guy that had a phenomenal season, and after he told, the Utah Mammoth GM now, but the St. Louis Blues GM at the time said, hey, either trade me or pull me up to the NHL, but you're not sending me to the minors. And then he came out to win the Stanley Cup, and he's been decent, but he gets thrown off his game. I shouldn't say he's been decent. He's been phenomenal, but he gets thrown off his game. So if you match everything else up, it comes down to those two goaltenders and what they're going to be like in a high-pressure game like that. Bennington's got the edge, I think, on Hellebuck because he has a Stanley Cup, because he has that Four Nations win against Hellebuck. So that's what scares me a little bit, but I think they tweaked Team USA based on what happened in the Four Nations tournament and added a guy like Keller, and added a little bit of more scoring touch to beat the goaltending. So I think it just comes one of those long, drawn-out games that everybody's going to be on the edge of their seat, and hopefully it lives up to the billing of what everybody wants to see.
Is it safe to say this Team USA, that roster was built specifically with Canada in mind?
Yeah, 100%. I think they looked at, they won the first game in the Four Nations, then they lost the second game. I think they made some tweaks. I think the focus was Team Canada. I think Team Canada coming in was a gold medal favorite, and USA barely behind that. And I think when Bill Guerin was looking at what he was going to do, he's like, this is where we made a mistake. This is the extra player, or this is the extra little seasoning that we needed to beat Canada in that Four Nations championship, and that's what they geared this whole team towards.
Talked to Bill Armstrong yesterday about how it's going to be trying to work Logan Cooley back into the lineup, and he said, coming out of this long Olympic break could be very beneficial for us because everybody's trying to figure themselves out and get back into a groove after a 3.5, 4 week layoff. Do you think that can be advantageous when you're trying to integrate stars back into the lineup with him and Kerfoot?
Yeah, 100%. And I think, it's funny. I hear other people talk about, where are they going to fit him in? Everything's been going so well. And, what are you going to do about it? Well, the truth of the matter is you've got one of the best players in the world.
Yeah.
You're going to put him right back where he belongs, which I think is line 2 center. And you get Kerfoot in there, and then everybody else is fighting for scraps. And this layoff is exactly what we needed. Everybody's going to come back in. They're going to get on the ice together. They're going to get a couple days of practice. It's going to feel brand new for everybody. And it couldn't have worked out better having one of your top players come off injury. And we've got 2 of them, right, with Kerf coming back too. So I think this plays in the Utah Mammoths' favor. They're going to go up against Colorado first, which is, they're getting players back too, but all those players are going to be a little bit more worn out because they've taken more of an active role in the Olympics.
Well, and also, too, I actually think starting with Colorado, you mentioned why that could be advantageous with them in a little bit of flux, but also there's no room to say, okay, we're gradually going to get back into this thing. You're playing the big dog right out of the gate. That means your focus level's got to be at an all-time high because you want to make a statement after all the success you had going into that break that you're keeping it rolling. So I got to imagine knowing that you're playing Colorado as that first game is got to have guys juiced up and ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Utah keeps getting better and better and better, and they're realizing that they could be really a playoff team now. So you got to prove it, right? You got to prove it against the big dog. If the playoffs started right now, Utah would go up against Vegas, but that could very easily be Colorado with another win or a loss here or there. So you've got to know that this is the bar you're going to hold yourself to, and how do you match up line by line, goaltender to goaltender, and you're going to find out right out of the gate again.
What's your realistic point total Utah needs to shoot for to make sure that they're where they need to be come playoff time?
It's got to be that 95 points.
95.
That's 95, 96 points. That's been the mark for a long time. That's what everybody says. No problem shooting for 100, but let's keep it real. 95 points is what you're going to need to, in theory, right? That's the plateau right there.
Well, we appreciate it, Jay. Always good catching up with you, man. And let's do it again here soon. Hopefully, we're going to be talking about a gold medal game between the United States and Canada.
Yeah, let's hope. I'm nervous. I'm going to be watching with anticipation. I can't wait to be back in the studio talking about gold medal games.
Yes, sir. Let's do it. Jay Stevens, you hear him on the Utah Puck Report on KSLSports.com. Breaks down the game better than anybody else, and we appreciate him being a big part of the show. All right. Coming up next, what you may have missed. Also, we look ahead. Coming up at 1:05, the great David James will join the program. He's got Jazz to break down the tank gate going on in the NBA with Adam Silver bending a knee because the world of gamblers are upset. So let's take it out on the Utah Jazz. We'll talk about that coming up at 1:05 with David James. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.